He created a paintball group that has issues. Hi guys, welcome to PB Shifu. So we're going to be installing the direct remote line kit to the T8.1. No, we're not. Ignore the P in the gallery. First I'm going to take off my compensator, which doesn't do anything but make the gun look cool. Okay, remove the barrel, remove the spring, and now we're left with the shell. What we need to do is we're going to install this kit here. This kit was the one I spoke about when we did the T8.1 video. Not many people know about it because it's not available in a lot of dealers. You have to order this kit from Tiberius Arms directly. I will put a link to their phone number down below. That way, if you want, you can order this kit. So it comes with 2 screws and an O-ring. There's a little white O-ring in here, so you gotta be careful. And this is the back block, which essentially goes back here. And this is a new back cap. I'm not sure why this is needed, but we'll find out when we start installing this. I'm going to take everything out and we're going to get right into this. What I don't see is a screw. With the way the T8.1 is, there was a plug for the puncture pin inside for the mag. We don't have that here, so I'm curious to see how that works. So I'm gonna unscrew the back cap and take out the bolt. I probably should take off the trigger frame first. I'm gonna do that right now. One. That's that. And you want to get a punch to push this out, or just an Allen key and push down. Doesn't require a lot of force, but it does need to be pushed out. So you want to take that out. As soon as you get that out, the whole thing essentially comes right apart. Okay, so that, want to make sure you don't lose this spring, and you can actually pull. Make sure you pull it to the left, to the right a little bit, and it'll come right out. All right, so I've always had trouble pulling this pin out of my grip ring. It's not a huge issue. I'm just gonna leave it there. So what I was saying before is with the T8.1, this piece was replaced with a solid piece without a hole. This kit doesn't have it, so I'm wondering how it works. Not a huge issue, but we'll see what happens. So we actually have to remove the trigger assembly, only because when we take out the bolt, we have to make sure the bolt's pushed forward before we put this back in. And so we'll do that right now. Not hard, only 1 screw. Make sure you keep this screw side separately. This is the specific screw that belongs to this particular assembly. Looks like there's a little bit of grime in here. I might have to clean this a little bit more before I use it the next time. So, alright, I unscrewed the back cap a little bit, and let's take it off completely. Alright, that's the back cap. It does look like it's different. That's the old one. This is the one that came with the kit. So you want to pull this out. Just a little bit of force, just push it back. Just be careful not to cut yourself. This body is kind of sharp. I neglected to mention there's an O-ring here. This O-ring belongs right here. Right there. Okay. so just want to be very careful. Alright, there you go. And that is the bolt assembly, which is clean considering I cleaned it, but doesn't hurt. Now that I'm installing a new kit, it gives me a good reason to clean this stuff. So I'm actually going to run some water through this and then reassemble. So I'm going to put all the old stuff aside. So this is the back cap that we probably won't be using anymore. This is the new, this is the bolt. We'll need all this stuff. And there was 2 O-rings here. One there, one there. Perfect. So I'm going to wipe everything down and then re-lube everything and then put it back together with the remote line kit. Alright guys, back from cleaning. Turns out the gun was a lot dirtier than I thought it was. Look at that. All that grime came off of it. It's about as dirty as Dragon Slayer is. So what we're going to do is we're going to reassemble the bolt. I want to make sure you put a drop of oil right in the O-ring in here. Drop of oil on this bumper, over in here, or in here. Doesn't hurt to put more oil on it. I mean, as always, oil doesn't hurt your gun, especially with high pressure guns like this. It really doesn't hurt the gun at all. I want to oil the inside in here, and final touch, want to make sure you get the oil all the way around. Alright, I want to oil this piece too. Alright, put it in. Alright, feels very smooth. Fantastic. So we're going to stick this back into the receiver and just push it in. Just push it in until it snaps in. Just be careful, these parts are a little sharp. And you want to take this opportunity to pull the bolt forward so you don't forget later on. Okay. So now, what we want to do is we want to assemble the new parts into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the new back cap, screw it in. Doesn't look that difficult. It's a little more flush than the old one, so that might be the reason why they gave a new one. And it doesn't have that little bump in the front, which coincidentally has an O-ring there, so I'm not really sure how that's going to affect it. And then we're going to stick this on. And this screw we have to take this piece off. This is actually the valve that was made during the release of this gun for this particular kit. Alright, so we're going to take this little Allen screw out. Remember there's an O-ring there. Oddly enough, it's very tight. I'm not really sure why. Why don't I back this out a little bit? But it is coming out, so let's see what happens. Okay. Not quite sure why that was so difficult to take out, but it looks like this screw might be stripped. Okay, so they provided us with this screw. And this one. So we're going to put this one, get the back cap in here. Get this, make sure it aligns with the bottom portion of that hole. And want to get that screw right in there. What you might want to transfer over, interestingly enough, doesn't look like the same. That definitely doesn't look the same. I'm so ill prepared for this video. It's not even funny. That's how it works. What'd you say? What'd you say? What'd you say?
City? I don't know where we're going. I'm gonna be driving to the city unless you go city.
Oh shit, what was that O-ring?
Like TOR?
Okay, so this piece goes on. After removing that, you have to remember that this kit did come with an O-ring. That O-ring goes back on here, right? Since it's a fresh O-ring, you want to use that one, and you want to make sure you align the adapter port on there, and the screw, the thinner head screw goes right in here. It screws right in. You want to make sure this is tight, otherwise it's going to leak on the Alright, so along with that, you want to put this, and this screws onto the new back cap. Brian's a pussy. And make sure everything is flush. And that is the installation of the remote line kit. Now to put everything together and see if it airs up. So we're going to put the trigger assembly back on. Make sure the bolt is pulled forward and your two O-rings are in place and aligned. This piece with this hole over here, stick it in and find your special screw, which is kind of dirty. This one's special because it's got a locking ring here. It's the only reason why it's special. So you want to stick that back there. Make sure it's hand tightened. You don't have to over tighten this stuff. Make sure it's hand tightened. That's hand tightened. It's good. You want to keep these aside for future when you want to go back into CO2. I highly doubt I'll go back to CO2. I really like air more than CO2, but we'll see what happens. And then we want to reassemble the trigger. You want to stick the trigger in first. Make sure the spring goes outside the frame on the bottom, and drop that in, not hard. Wiggle it to the side. It'll be off like that, and then you can just kind of slip it right in like that. Now, what you want to remember is to put this spring in. This goes right on top of the safety, and just want to clip it together. Not difficult. Just sometimes it wiggles out. Right? So at this point you want to make sure you align the trigger with this thing and with this trigger pin and push it in. Preferably with something hard and flat. Alright, and that's a trigger assembly. Now you just want to make sure you put in all your other screws. This screw. Screw this one in. All this only has to be hand tightened. Don't over tighten anything. Strip the threads on your body, then you're screwed, literally. Okay, so spring in. Make sure it goes all the way back, and your gun won't fire without a barrel. So barrel in. I'm going to put my compensator back in. Alright, and that's the assembly. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to air it up and see if it actually fires with a remote kit. See if we installed it properly. I have my air tank. A very old remote coil. I don't ever use this anymore. This is not what I'm going to be using for this gun. But it'll do the job of testing. So you want to make sure the slide check is back. Put this in. And put the slide check in and gas it up. And like I said, there should have been a plug there. Luckily for me, I have a T9, so I have that plug. But I will have to contact Tiberius Arms for that particular plug, because that should be a part of this kit. I don't see why it wouldn't be.